Have you ever stopped in the midst of the hustle and bustle of everyday life and wondered, am I living or just existing? Is there something in you, vague but very clear, that always feels like you don't belong in this world the way it works? It's as if you're playing a role in a pre-written play where everything is familiar, but it's not really you. If you've ever found yourself standing in a crowd and still feeling lonely, if you have ever felt tired even though you're living a standard life, if you have ever shed tears but couldn't name the emotions inside, then perhaps you're being invited to enter a very special journey, the journey of awakening. Spiritual awakening is not a sublime thing, not just for those who are spiritualized or live in the mountains and forests to meditate. It starts from very ordinary things, from a small crack in a seemingly solid life, from a sudden collision that makes you stop and look inside. Not to blame ourselves, but to listen, for the first time, really listen, to the voice of the soul. When you start, you don't know you're embarking on a journey. You just know that everything around you no longer seems to make you feel full like before. Everyday joys become faded. Goals that were once motivating suddenly lost their meaning, and you start to wonder, something is wrong here. But where is it wrong? That question, seemingly meaningless, is the first door to open a completely different world. A world that isn't out there, it's deep inside you. In the first stage, you live in an unconscious state. You still work, still love, still laugh and talk, but it all happens by inertia. Every choice you make comes from fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough, fear of losing what you have. You don't know that those thoughts, the little voices in your head whispering day and night, have controlled your entire life. You don't know you're wearing a mask. You don't realize that you've forgotten who you are. Everything you believe is me, your name, your career, your personality, your life story. It's all just a shell molded by your family, your society, your past, and you live in that shell thinking it is the self, without knowing that inside there is still another me, deeper, more real, more silent. Then an incident happened. It could be a breakup, a loss, a failure, a moment when you reach the bottom of your pain, and when everything falls apart, you fall too. But at that moment, in the ashes of the seemingly solid ego, you begin to see new life. No one tells you that you are entering ego death, but you feel, very clearly, that you are no longer the same. Ego death does not come through surgery or tears. It comes by realization. You realize that the things you once clung to, the labels "I'm a good person," "I must succeed," "I must be loved," no longer provide security. You feel empty. You feel like you're floating between two worlds. You're no longer the same person, but you also don't know who you are. That void can be very scary, but also very sacred, because it is in that void that you begin to hear your true inner voice. It is no longer the voice of fear, of defense, or of an ego trying to prove something. It is the voice of a soul that has waited a long time to be heard by you. You start searching. It's not about finding more external things. It's about finding the forgotten self. You read unusual books. You hear strange talks. You meditate. You write in a diary. You ask yourself thousands of questions that you didn't care about before. Who am I? What did I come here for? Does this life have any meaning? You are no longer interested in superficial conversations. You crave the truth, even though it may hurt. You crave connection, not with words, but with souls. You look deep into someone's eyes and ask yourself, are they awake? Or are they also sleeping like I was? And then a miracle happened. No stalking. No heavenly bells rang. You just realize you don't want to pretend anymore. You no longer feel the need to please someone. You no longer want to keep relationships that make you shrink. You start to reject things that are no longer true for you, even if it means disappointing others. Because for the first time in your life, you choose to be true to yourself over being loved by others. Your true self begins to emerge. No one teaches you how to live authentically. No school teaches you how to remove a mask. But your body knows, your heart knows, and it begins to guide you in very subtle ways, through feelings, through intuition, through dreams, or simply through a sigh after many years of silence. You start living differently, slower, deeper. You choose the small things that really make you feel you. You stop chasing big goals, but return to small meanings. A cup of warm tea, a quiet morning, an unconditional hug. One afternoon, watching the clouds drift by without doing anything, you realize those things, so simple that they are forgotten, are the key that leads you back home. And when you come back, no longer fighting yourself, no longer blaming yourself, no longer trying to fix yourself, then you begin to feel something sacred that you have only heard people talk about before: harmony. Harmony is not the absence of sadness. Harmony is when you're no longer afraid of sadness, is when you can sit with sadness like an old friend. It's when you see the darkness within yourself and no longer want to run away. You embrace yourself, both the wounded part and the light-filled part. You stop blaming your parents, stop blaming your ex, stop hoping the world will change. You understand, healing begins with accepting the present as it is. And when you accept, you love. Not romantic love. It is understanding, tolerant, unconditional love. The love that your soul always desires. You become your own nurturer. And from that love, you begin to see others with new eyes. No more judging, no more comparing, no more winning or losing. You know everyone is struggling with their own traumas. Everyone is learning to love themselves, and everyone is on the journey of awakening. You no longer feel like you are the center, but you also no longer feel like a misfit. You are part of the whole, and that whole is living through you, loving through you, awakening through every breath you take. And then one morning, you wake up, look out at the clear blue sky, and feel at peace for nothing, just because you're alive. And that is enough. If you are somewhere on this journey, please remember, you are not alone. There are other souls also walking on that path, also falling, also getting up, and also looking for a way back. Back to yourself, back to the light. Return to the unconditional love that has always been there, waiting for you to recognize it.